Yeah, this love of pop culture. And who's the gift that keeps on giving? Who's the celebrity that you just wait for the next thing for them to do?
That is such a good question. No one has asked me that, and I am like so ready to answer it. Like, I love it.
Hey everyone, welcome to How Success Happens. I'm Dan Bova, writer and editor at entrepreneur.com. Today we're speaking with Haley Sachs, better known as Mrs. Dow Jones. Haley is super smart and super funny when it comes to explaining all things money. She has 1.5 million followers who listen to her every word when it comes to financial news, personal planning, and understanding why exactly Justin Bieber just did that on stage. She hosts the Financial Tea with Mrs. Dow Jones podcast, and she has a new book out, Future Rich Person, which goes on sale May 12th. Welcome, Haley.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've got, see, I've got an advanced copy. You've got the real thing in the background.
Oh, I've got galleys. I mean, we've got, I can't leave home without this book. And then I
Yeah.
never return home with it either because I'm always like giving it to someone.
Before we get into all of the advice in the book, I think let's learn a little bit more about you. How did you become Mrs. Dow Jones?
I grew up on the Upper East Side with a dad who worked on Wall Street and a mother who is a social worker. And despite living in, a zip code where people were wealthy and having a dad who manages, rich people's wealth for a living, I was basically like, if LeBron James' daughter couldn't shoot a free throw, like I really, didn't know much. And it was never taught to me. And more than that, I think that I took in a lot of the um, stories that we sort of tell women, like, oh, it's not for you, or that like you should focus on saving instead of investing and just be nice. And so, it was sort of a cacophony of lots of, just financial ignorance and avoidance. And I wanted to be a comedian. And so I went to film school. And then when I graduated, I got a job for David Letterman as a page. And I was doing stand up every night on the Lower East Side. And I was doing improv. And it was just when the internet was really sort of starting. It was around 2013. So I was also making a lot of videos online on YouTube, but not about finance at that point, just about like, funny videos. And I had a previous, I had, been a little bit famous on Vine, if you remember Vine in
Yeah,
college.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I was big on Facebook video in high school, middle school. So I was always really interested in the internet and connecting with people digitally and really wanted to have a voice. But I think at that point, I didn't really understand what I wanted to say. And then I got hired by Lorne Michaels, who started SNL,
Yeah.
to be a writer, and not for SNL, for a different thing that he was doing. And it was a really big deal to me because I had been, working so hard for so long trying to find, and it's such a hard industry to break into. And it
Yeah.
was just so cool to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to do such a good job. And it was my first full time job because up until then, all my jobs had been 1099s. When I worked for Letterman, they kept me on a 1099, babysitting, Pilates studio, like all of these odd jobs that I'd had. None of it was like, hey, do you want health insurance? What's up with your
Right.
retirement plan? Whatever. So I'd been able to avoid any financial realness. I hadn't yet to have my money aha moment.
Mm.
And then I went to the first day at that job, and they had the audacity to ask me about 401ks and health insurance and all of these things. No one had ever taught me that I was certain I was not responsible enough to make
Yeah.
decisions on. And so just remember that night, like taking the train home. I think I stress ordered Thai food, and I did whatever, what any self respecting millennial would do, and went on YouTube to try and learn. And what I found was either information sort of geared at men by men that was really jargon heavy about investing. And to be honest, most of them look like they hadn't been through puberty. So I was like, I would, I don't think I'm going to listen to you. I certainly wouldn't date you. And then the advice for women was all about scarcity and saving. And,
Mm,
because like part of the how they keep us in the patriarchy is to make sure that women don't grow wealth because money is power. And so it was all just sort of connected to that idea of like, never get your nails done, rewash your paper towels, like all of these things that made my life feel really small. But I
mm,
realized in that moment that like, you know, okay, I think I'm becoming an adult here, sort of. I got this job. I want to level up a bit. But it doesn't I don't want to be like those guys. And I also those girl like this information for women isn't appealing to me either. I'm looking for someone who can make it aspirational to grow wealth. With so aspirational. I loved pop culture always and celebrities, and it was uh always so exciting for me to see, what they were spending on. And, spending is so people love to see what people are spending, but how could we bring that same glamour to the arduous,
yeah,
long, hard, boring process of becoming future rich people? And
right.
so I didn't see that person. And so I became her.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I got to say, as a Gen Xer, when I first got those forums, I didn't have YouTube to look up. So I just was like, yeah, that I have no idea. And I always wonder that why do we graduate college with no clue about anything about mortgages, about loans? It's crazy.
I mean, you should leave college understanding taxes, knowing to negotiate your salary. I mean, all of these are understanding how to budget. Like, these are really rudimentary skills that just are not taught in the system and need to be because it keeps us all behind.
So the Lorne Michaels thing, did that job end and then you went this way, or how did those two things go?
So I had this idea sort of like that night. I was like, okay, I'd always loved making content. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start like teaching myself a little bit more about this, but I'm going to do it like by making content because that I loved making videos. I still
Mm,
do. And I was like, this will like keep me sort of honest. Like I can learn what EBITDA means. I can learn what, a bear market means. It was mostly about investing terms because I felt like uh so blocked off from the world of Wall Street. And I was
yeah.
like, wait, no, I can learn this. I'm smart enough. I can learn it. And so I started to teach myself while I had this job. But I think that what's interesting, and, so much of my book is about the new rules of building wealth because, most financial advice books were really written for a world that doesn't exist anymore. And if you're, trying to build wealth in this economy, which is so different than any economy that we've ever had between AI and the housing crisis and student debt, and wages not increasing with the cost of living, and also how much choice people have as well. You're not going to succeed. And so it was really important to me to create a book that sort of met the moment in that way.
Yeah. Well, you write in here, the American dream is dead. Long live the new American dream. So, what do you mean by the new American dream?
I think the new American dream is really about having more choice. Like the old American dream was so prescriptive, right? It was everyone had to, have their white picket fence
Hmm.
and 2.5 kids and a dog and a minivan. And now there's so much more opportunity. I mean, for women, we can have kids later in life, we can be entrepreneurs. You could start your own company, you could decide to retire early, you could rent your whole life instead of buying, you could be somebody who's really good with credit card points. Like, there's like just so many ways to go about your financial life now that are different from back then because we have so much more opportunity.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, speaking of choice, you write, you have to choose your hard. Can you explain a little bit what that means?
Absolutely. So, I think that Like getting rich is simple, but it's not easy because whenever you're going to change your habits, um, and really make a shift in your life, it requires discipline and awareness. And it's something that you have to be relentless in the pursuit of, especially at the beginning. It's always the beginning that is the most difficult because, change is hard. And so, yes, that is, I don't try to sugarcoat anything about this being hard. Like, if you want to live an amazing life, the life of your dreams, but maybe your dream is like, your dream could be just like, I rent an apartment and like lease my car and I go to my job every day. Maybe your dream is that DJ in Ibiza. Your dream doesn't have to be I want to live on a yacht or like whatever, like these, ideas that we have of being like a rich person are in our head. Like the idea is your dream should be something that sets you on fire. But in order to get there, it's going to take sacrifice and focus.
Mm.
And so choosing your heart is saying, hey, do I want to be a little bit uncomfortable now so that in the future I can get those things? Which, yes, is going to be hard, but won't it be harder to get to that age or get to that moment and not have those things? And that, to me, that hard seems a lot worse.
For someone listening to this right now who's getting all fired up listening to you talk, what are some of those first steps they can take to start planning and start putting that dream life together?
Well, I think what's interesting is, Dan, is like, and I spend the beginning of the book really just working on mindset first and foremost, because it's like I can teach you anything about money really, but it will never stick if you don't figure out why your financial habits are the way they are, what's driving your behavior, and really consciously work to change it. Like that is like really the first step is examining your relationship to money. Like, let me try something with you. Do you have a first money memory that you remember?
Ooh, that's a great question. Uh, I do remember, yes, one of my first summer jobs. At the end of the week, my boss, who was my across the street neighbor, handing me an envelope full of cash, and I was so psyched. But we didn't do anything nefarious. We were building above ground pools, which is kind of nefarious. But yes, I remember getting that money in my hand for sure.
And like, how did it feel? Felt great.
It
And what'd
felt
you do with it?
awesome. I probably went and bought some CDs and went to the movies and bought a bunch of big gulps, and it was probably gone in 2 days.
Exactly. And then it's like, do you see any of that behavior now in how you act with money or like how you've had to change your relationship with money to become more successful?
So I would say for me, and I wonder if this is true for other people, I don't feel like I'm like spending on frivolous things, but I'm probably using my credit card more than I would like to because I feel like I have no other choice.
I get that. I think that, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And what I talk about in the book too is there's a whole chapter called Securing the Damn Bag, which is, and most people don't, especially as you get older, I feel like we get so set in our ways that we don't really give ourselves the opportunity to step back and really think about like strategy in our life as much as we just go through the motions. And so like even with something like that, you realizing, okay, maybe I need to make more money in order to like I can't really cut back more. I'm not really a fan of telling people to cut back. It goes from that same moment that I was online, trying to find financial advice. And it made me feel so deprived, all the advice that I was finding. Like, I am really about, I think that it's as easy as to cut as it is to find a way to make an extra $1,000, $10,000, like to find ways to increase your
Yes.
skill set, to find, look at, you know, how much time do you have? What are opportunities that you could
Yep.
utilize to make your income grow? And people, I feel like it's so easy for us to cut back, but and it feels so I say this in the book. I'm like, record scratch freeze frame. Yeah, that's me. I'm a financial expert telling you to make more money. Like you're probably rolling your eyes at me. You like think like you're like, okay, great. How? Like, yes, of course I want more money. Everyone wants more money. But I sort of walk you through the steps of how to examine what you have going on and like your value and how you could earn more money,
Yes.
and how to put that together so that you can increase your income.
Yeah, and one thing that I loved seeing in your book was that you said this isn't about cutting lattes out of your life, because that was such a big piece of financial advice for so long. Like, oh, stop
Avocado
spending
toast.
$10. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna save $50 a month, and now I'll be able to put a down payment on a house. Like that, and live a joyless experience in the meantime. So I love that you have that in your book, and this isn't the avocado toast example like you just said.
Yeah, I'm like really not into shame based financial advice, because I really look at money as a tool less than a number. Like to me, being a future rich person looks different for every person. Like it could be a huge number in your bank account, but it could also just be like, okay, I get to get up, I can stop working every day at 3 and like get my kids from school, or like, you know what I mean? Like these like little things that we aspire to do that money as a tool could give us the freedom to go after.
Yeah,
And so I think that everyone's version of that is so different. So, like, maybe your version of that is getting a little treat every day. Maybe you're a future rich person, loves to get like a $13 matcha every freaking day. And it's like, great. You can have anything, but you can't have everything.
right.
So, with the future rich person spending plan, we find a way to make that work. Maybe it's not every day. Maybe you're going, once a week, twice a
Yeah,
week, and you're cutting back on a few other things. But it's like more than anything, I would probably say, hey, how can we make more money to uh, to make this feel less of a pinch, because it really you're getting
yeah.
a lot of value from it.
So talk to me about action money, because I love that phrase, and I love what it represents in your book. Can you tell us about that?
Thank you. I know I love action money too. So, I mean, to make any financial progress, you have to have action money, which is money left over after you deduct your expenses from your income. And this is like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, that's what people also get confused about with finance. Like, people say, Haley, how much money do I need to start? You could start with $1 or you could start with $1 million. Like, but it's the same formula for anyone, where you really do just need to have that action money, which is that you are spending less than you make. And with that money that you have left over, depending where you're at in your financial process, because you have to follow strategic steps to become a future rich person. Like, first, it's so important for you to save a 3 to 6 month emergency fund in a high yield savings account. um, and I talk through the book how to decide if you need to be closer to the 3 month or the 6 month. And it really depends on if you have dependents, what kind of job you have, how easy it is to find a new role in that kind of career,
Mm,
what the economy looks like. But you can determine for yourself where you stand on that. And then once you have that saved up, you would focus on high interest rate debt, which is any debt above 7%. And then after that, you start to invest towards retirement and really look towards those tax advantage retirement accounts and maxing those out.
So, in your experience looking at finance from every angle, do you see common spots that people have blind spots to, where they don't realize money's going out the door because they're just not paying attention?
So many people don't have a system set up for their money, which is why I really believe in reading a personal finance book. Like, of course, I'm going to recommend Future Rich Person, because I think it's great. I wrote every word, it'll do the trick. But, like, if I'm not your cup of tea and you're listening to this, just read one. Doesn't like do me that favor, because you need to learn how to automate your money and create a system around it, or else you will have those leakages.
Mm,
Um, and something that I see a lot too is that people don't really realize how negotiable life is.
mm,
Like, so many of our what we think are fixed expenses are actually not fixed. Like, I car insurance, for example.
mm.
when I've been helping people compare their car insurance rates because the cost of gas is so high. And obviously that's out of control. Like I can't, I can give you hacks for, okay, go to this gas station instead of that one
Right.
and it'll save you some money. But does that really move the needle? No, you're saving like a tiny bit. But what does move the needle is compare your car insurance rates where people are saving on average $500 to $1,000 just by looking through their car insurance rates. You can also do this for your phone bills. You can do this for medical bills, like just any sort of, you just for credit card interest rates. Everything is negotiable.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely. And how does that translate? So, we've been talking a lot about our personal finances. Let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurs and small business owners because there's a lot of money stress there too. What's your relationship with risk, betting on yourself? You bet on yourself. Was that a nerve wracking experience, or did it feel like it just came naturally to you?
I mean, okay, so when I back to my like job trajectory, so when so I was at Lord Michaels and then 6 months into that job, we all got laid off. Um and I knew at that point that I wanted to pursue this finance concept that I had. I felt really passionate about it. I had an insatiable need for the knowledge around it. I still have that. So I knew that I was like, pursuing the right thing. But I didn't have the income from it yet because I hadn't really been able to focus on it. And so then I spent about a year, maybe a year and a half. There was a guy at Above Average who then went to work at this music production company, and he hired me to write videos for them because I had this skill, which is like a skill is great. Skill will get you very far in life. You could always fall back on it. And so I knew how to write these digital videos. So he was like, great, write these for us. And I would make the amount of money that I needed for rent, but it didn't take up all my time. And I could pursue Mrs. Dow Jones on the side. And then I was able to really go full time in Mrs. Dow Jones when I had like $70,000 saved. Because I mean, at that point, I'd been making like $50,000. Like it was not like I was making that much money, but I was like, okay, let me give this a year with this money that I have saved. And this will be my salary. And I can always go back to what I was doing. Like in my head, I was always like, okay, I'm either going to try to do this better myself or I'll go get a job at like a Comedy Central or something like that and just continue to try and do this TV comedy thing. Um, and so once I had that money saved up, then I was able to go full time with it and, was soon out earning that salary that I'd given myself. But I think that what's really important though is that throughout that, I was investing back in my business, of course, but I was always hedging my bets. And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs is first of all, entrepreneurs, and guys, if you are an entrepreneur, and this is so such an important thing for me to include in this book because the uh, the entrepreneurial generation is only getting bigger. Like we are coming in troves, like it is going absolutely crazy. And it's only going to become more and more. But no one really, I mean, no one teaches us about money in general, but no one teaches you about the amazing tax advantages that you can get from setting up your company properly and utilizing those tax advantaged accounts. And so, I have a whole part of the book dedicated to breaking down like what's a SEP IRA? What does it mean if I don't have a 401k at work? How can I still save for retirement? What is an S Corp? What's an LLC? Like all these questions that no one answers, but you really, really need to know in
Yeah.
order to set up your company properly. But I will say it's so great to bet on yourself, but make sure that you have a safety net when you do it. And also make sure that you're never all in because you always want to have diversified income streams, and you also want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all those tax advantages you can get as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned how you had this love of pop culture, and pop culture comes up time and time again in your videos, which are very funny. Who's the gift that keeps on giving? Who's the celebrity that you just wait for the next thing for them to do? whether it be good or just like a what is this person doing?
That is such a good question. No one has asked me that, and I am, like, so ready to answer it, like, I love it. Um, okay, so Taylor Swift, obviously, people are obsessed with. Although right now, I feel like she's, like, not being as famous currently, but people are still obsessed with her, so that's a big one. Definitely Justin Bieber, Beyoncé and Jay-Z, Kim Kardashian. There, Kim and Beyonce's kids are really big for me. Those always do really well. Trying to think who else always hits. I mean, those were really like our A-listers as of 2026. Like, actors don't really have the same platforms as they used to.
Right.
And you have to sort of find people who are universal enough. And like, what I look for is people who are in the conversation. Like, I just did all these videos about Bieber at Coachella. And it's like, yeah, because Coachella, we're in the between weekend one and weekend two, it's on everyone's minds.
Yeah.
And so, that's how like, or like I did a really big video about Blue Ivy, who's Beyonce's daughter. And it was when Beyonce was on tour with her daughter. And every weekend there would be videos of the daughter dancing online going viral. So you have to know like what's in the culture.
That's great. And I would say and you have a natural affinity for it. You're not like forcing something that you don't actually care about. You love this stuff.
No, I'm like, actually, like, why am I still so obsessed? And my favorite part of my job is just like researching, like reading, because I have to read all the financial things and then I get to make it my job to like check Daily Mail.
That's great. That's great. Excellent. So let's why don't we move along into the speed round
Oh, I love
of
that.
this conversation. So here's your first question. Um, what is rich? Give us a number.
So I actually don't think that rich is a number. I think that, of course, you have to be money. People say money can't buy happiness. That's absolutely not true. Money takes away so much sadness and like gives you the ability to take care of yourself, buys you back your time. You can support other people, you can support your community. Like that is not something that we should ever take for granted. But one thing that I do like to talk about, it's like when you focus on having a lot of one thing, that's actually a lot ha easier than having some of many things.
Mm,
And so if you have all this money and you're chasing that number, but you don't have relationships, your health is not taken care of, your mental health is in the gutter, then you're not really living a future rich person life.
mm.
So it's not about a number as much as it's about being well lived and well resourced.
All right, I'll allow it. Um, so what is a habit that you're happy to have and one that you wish you could ditch?
I always make my bed. I think that's a good habit. Like, even if I'm at, like, a hotel or something, like, I'll make my bed. I love
Really?
that. Yeah, I always do it. I think that's a good habit. I also wake up early because I was a rower all in college, and so
Oh,
I was
wow.
used to that. So that's good. And then a habit that I wanna ditch is definitely phone before bed. I, like,
Mm.
go through such good spurts where I'm like, "Damn, I'm not using my phone before bed," and then I relapse. So it is something that I think will constantly be a goal that I'm chasing.
Got it. That's great. And then finally, tell us about one irresponsible purchase you made and why it was worth every penny.
Ooh, okay, well, I bought a gold watch when I got my book deal.
Nice.
Um, I don't think it wasn't irresponsible in the way that I couldn't afford it, and I bought it secondhand under warranty, so it was, like, not at, face value, but I knew that it was authentic. So I did it all the right way, but also it was, like, definitely that money would have grown way more in the stock market than it would on my wrist, but I freaking love it. Like, I love what it represents. It's such a like reminder of the hard work of this book, and I think it's beautiful, and I get a lot of value from it.
That's awesome. I love that. Fantastic. Well, everyone, future rich person here, it's behind her. It is out May 12th. I've read a lot of it and I love it. I can't wait to read the rest of it. So thank you so much for writing it and for telling us all about it.
Thank you so much. And I will also say, Dan, when you pre-order the book, you get around $700 worth of freebies. So I'm like, I've created all of these guides and like cheat sheets to support the book launch that occur when you pre-order them.
Awesome, awesome, and it comes with a free gold watch too, right? I thought I read.
Exactly. And that's with the pre-order that you do get a free gold watch. And Dan is sort of going to help support that goal for everyone.
Awesome.